Hi guys, in this video, we look into the story of Big Taco, a well-known figure from the Inglewood neighborhood Pirates. Born Juan Martinez in El Salvador, Taco grew up during a turbulent era in his home country. Civil unrest and violence made daily life dangerous, pushing his mother to seek a better future for her children. Alongside several siblings, she left El Salvador in search of the American dream, a chance for safety, opportunity, and the hope of giving her children more than her homeland could offer. By the 1980s, Los Angeles was a different world. While the family had escaped one dangerous environment, they arrived in another facing its own problems. The crack epidemic was hitting American cities hard, flooding neighborhoods with drugs and guns. Many young people turned to dealing, while others fell into addiction. Street gangs, driven by a mix of drug profits, territorial disputes, and loyalty to their neighborhoods, were becoming deeply rooted in the culture of LA. For many children, gang influence appeared early, sometimes before they even finished elementary school. Taco's early life. Taco's family settled on Beach Street in Inglewood, an area within neighborhood Pirates territory. By the time they arrived, the gang was already well established. Violence, robberies, and drug dealing were part of daily life in the neighborhood. Rogers Park, a known hangout for the gang, was just steps away, and Beach Street itself was one of the most active spots in their turf. The neighborhood Pirates, NHP, had several cliques, such as the 500, 700, and 800 blocks, each playing a role in the gang's street presence. During the 1980s and 1990s, often described as the height of gang activity in Inglewood, the NHPs clashed with various rivals, including certain Sereno gangs, the Legend Crips, and the rolling 60s neighborhood Crips. Growing up in such an environment, it was easy to be drawn in, and Taco eventually joined the NHP. What made him stand out was that he was one of the first non-black members of the gang. He wasn't the original Taco, another Hispanic member had carried that nickname earlier, but when the original stopped representing the gang, Juan Martinez became Big Taco. Determined to prove himself, he earned a reputation for being aggressive, fearless, and uncompromising. His presence alone was enough to signal trouble, and he quickly became a respected and feared figure in the streets. Taco often ran with another influential NHP member, Big Julo, who was considered a major name in Inglewood and sometimes referred to as Mr. Inglewood. Together, they developed a reputation for confronting rivals directly, whether by showing up at enemy schools to fight or engaging in violent confrontations on the streets. They didn't wait for respect, they took it, ensuring their names were known across the city. For Taco, representing his gang meant holding his ground at all times. In the early years, when their numbers weren't as strong, every member's presence counted. Taco embraced that responsibility, becoming not just a participant in the life of the NHP but one of the names that defined its legacy during that era. In the absence of older figures like Big Dow and Big G Slim, who were either incarcerated or otherwise caught up in the system, Taco became a key figure holding things together. Coming out of the YGGs, he stepped into a leadership role, guiding and mentoring younger members. From the early 1980s, Taco had already built a name for himself. An OG from the rolling 60s era, his path would eventually cross with Julo in a major way. According to his own account, one such encounter happened in 1991 at Fox Hill Mall. Taco and Julo, both with the NHP set at the time, got into an altercation with another crew. A gun was drawn on him and his group, sparking tensions that would escalate. This mall incident eventually led to a shootout at a gas station between the 60s and the NHPs. From Cat Mac's account, Taco was one of the NHP members on the front lines, firing back at the 60s. It was far from the only time he would be involved in violence. Taco's life was marked by numerous shootouts, street conflicts, and near-death encounters. During the 1990s, Taco had multiple children, the most notable being his eldest son, Juan Martinez Jr., known to many as Rucci, the rapper. Despite fatherhood, Taco's lifestyle did not slow down. He remained deeply tied to the streets, both respected and feared in his neighborhood. He looked out for his people, often taking younger homies under his wing, giving them advice, shelter, and opportunities in the street game. His influence came with dangers, however. Several attempts were made on his life. His sisters were shot in an effort to get to him, and multiple homes he lived in with his children and girlfriend were targeted in drive-by shootings. By 2010, things took an even darker turn. Inglewood Pirates. On April 25, 2010, around 6 a.m., a man named George was walking through Inglewood when he saw a red Ford Explorer and a white Toyota Camry driving toward him. The vehicles passed, turned around, and stopped. Someone inside the Explorer made a comment about Mexicans. The passenger window rolled down, revealing a man with a black handgun. Shots were fired. George dove to the ground, then got up and ran through a nearby alley as 4 more shots rang out. Police were soon alerted to the shooting and the description of the Red Explorer, a vehicle known to be associated with NHP members. Officers went to North Victor Avenue, where Tucko and his brother, Anthony Boner, lived. There they found both the Explorer and the Camry mentioned in the police call. A bullet casing was discovered lodged in the roof of the Explorer. George was brought to the location, where he identified the driver of the Explorer and pointed out Boner as the shooter. A search of Boner's residence turned up 4 handguns, a shotgun, and several rounds of ammunition. One of the handguns had Boner's DNA on it, and gunshot residue was also found on him. Both Boner and Tucko were arrested. George did not testify during the trial, as he had been deported to Mexico in July 2010. In early 2011, he told authorities he wished to return to testify but feared for his life. During the trial, Tucko and Boner's mother testified in Boner's defense, attempting to dispute the allegations. On the morning of the shooting, Tucko and Boner's mother testified that she had asked Boner to drive her to work around 6 o'clock or 6:30 a.m. He initially agreed, but later told her he didn't have a valid driver's license. She decided to take the bus instead. Not long after, she saw police swarming around her residence. When Boner took the stand in his own defense, he claimed he had spent the night at his mother's house working on music for his rap career. He said he fell asleep around 2 a.m. and was awakened when his mother came in asking for a ride to work. According to him, while he was getting ready, Tucko and several friends came into the house carrying weapons. They allegedly left the firearms on the table. Boner testified that he picked them up and told them to take the guns out of the house. He denied knowing that any guns remained in the studio when police later found them, suggesting that another relative, France, had placed them there. Boner also denied being anywhere near the location of the shooting, insisting he never left the studio that morning. The jury didn't believe the defense. Tucko chose to take a plea deal and received a 5-year sentence. Boner fought the case and was convicted, receiving 35 years to life in prison. As of today, 15 years later, he remains behind bars. When the shooting occurred, Tucko's son, Rucci, then about 15, lost both his father and his uncle to prison at the same time. Without their guidance, he and his younger brother turned to the streets, already carrying the NHP affiliation passed down from their father. Rucci didn't just follow his father's street path, he also followed his uncle's creative footsteps into rap. By 18, he began refining his sound, and by 2016, he was making his mark on the Los Angeles rap scene. Over the years, he gained millions of views online, becoming one of the biggest artists to emerge from neighborhood pirates alongside names like Sweet RU211. His reach expanded beyond his set and Inglewood, positioning him as one of La's rising stars in a new wave of rappers. Automatic rivalries. But the streets followed him. His Pyro affiliation meant automatic rivalries with neighborhood Crip gangs and their allies. Several robberies involving his name circulated online, further fueling tensions. The long-standing hostility between Inglewood Pirates and neighborhood Crips escalated after the murder of an Inglewood Blood named Red Bull, a killing tied to members of rapper Drakeo the Ruler's crew, who were neighborhood Crips. Rucci and Drakeo had once been cool, even collaborating on music. But Red Bull's death created a divide. Drakeo's Stink Team became enemies of Inglewood both on the streets and in jail. One of the alleged shooters was Chaos from the Main Street Crips, a figure already covered in previous episodes. Drakeo was arrested in connection with the case in an attempt to bring down his whole crew, but he was eventually released. Tensions didn't fade. Both artists exchanged words publicly. Ain't no man hotter than me. I got the city. Y'all mad about it? Ain't nobody got more influence than me. Rucci replied that it wasn't personal, it was about loyalty to his set. Still, the feud lingered in the background of La's street politics. It ended violently. Rolling Stone later reported that Drakeo the ruler was fatally stabbed backstage at the Once Upon a Time in LA music festival. The incident occurred behind the stage at Banc of California Stadium in Exposition Park. He was 28 years old. For Rucci, it was a grim reminder. "That was once my friend," he said. "When it happened, I wouldn't say I was really hurt, but it hit me. This life can be taken away from you fast. One day you see him shining, next day you see him dying. That's not a good feeling." Tako's life became even more complicated after serving 5 years in prison. When he was first released, he found a job and made a genuine effort to rebuild his life along a productive path. But without warning, ICE showed up and took him into custody. He thought it was for a parole violation, until he learned the truth: he was being deported. He was sent back to El Salvador, a country he hadn't set foot in since childhood. The shock was immediate. Shortly after arriving, he was attacked by several men. It was a brutal reminder of the danger he now faced, and the painful reality that he might never see his family again. After 35 days in El Salvador, Tako made the decision to escape. His journey was perilous. He crossed Guatemala and Honduras, at one point floating on a raft through dangerous waters. He waded through a river, ran for miles, and spent long stretches hiding just to survive. Eventually, he reached Mexico, where he managed to settle. Living in Mexico gave Tako the chance to be closer to his family, a connection he had desperately missed. This reunion, and the struggles leading up to it, was captured by Rucci in a short film titled Tako-san. The film documented both of their lives, their ties to gang culture, and the harsh realities they continued to face. Today, Rucci is still pursuing his rap career, while Tako remains in Tijuana, doing his best to carve out a better life for himself. And with that, this chapter of their story comes to a close.